Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello out there. I don't know what time you're looking at this, but we are Senior Issues, etc. I'm your host, Vida Verdon, and we have a good show planned for you today. Now, this is our last show of 2013, and it is the Christmas season, and believe me, we have a heavy snowfall as I came into the studio today. And so each year around the holiday time, I usually had some kind of entertainment, but this year I thought, no, I'd like to do something a little bit different. And since I am a firm believer of Jesus is the reason for the season, I can wish you all a Merry Christmas. And I searched into our local community, which is an organization that's doing grassroots work. And I came up with one that is really touching the heart of people where it truly is a very dire need. And that organization is called P.A.D.S. And I happen to have a woman with me today, a young lady, who is the developmental leader of the organization, and she's going to tell us about herself and about the organization. Farrah, it's good to, her name is Farrah Watson, and I always made a mistake and called her Sarah, but her name is Farrah.
Thank
Farrah,
you so
it's
much.
good to have you here with us today. And first of all, I know them out there. I've known them for quite a while, and they want to get to know something about you.
Sure.
So if you tell them something about yourself, and then we could hear about the organization that you represent, okay?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Farrah Watson, and as you stated, I work for P.A.D.S. of Lake County, but a little bit about me. I went to undergraduate school at Grand Valley State University in Michigan. I'm originally from a small town in northeast Iowa. I received my graduate degree from Northwestern University in Evanston, and I've spent most of my career working in nonprofits, specifically in the Lake County area. However, for the past 3 years, I was in Washington, D.C. working for the federal government. My husband got a job back in this area, and that's when I joined P.A.D.S. of Lake County. So
you know what we want you to do? We want you to blow a big smacker to your husband. Look right into that.
And to my children. 2 kisses for my kids,
Okay.
of course.
What's their names?
Naya and Marshall.
Okay.
Yes.
A good one. Any pets?
No pets.
Okay.
No,
All right.
pets.
So now let's start right with what is P.A.D.S.
Sure.
It's I know it's a non-for-profit charitable organization with your 501c3.
Correct.
Right?
We are a nonprofit organization, and P.A.D.S. is the organization in Lake County that services individuals who are experiencing homelessness. So we have our emergency shelter sites, which are scattered around Lake County during the coldest months of the year. We also have something called a family center, which houses it's a transitional housing center that houses families in Lake County.
Okay, well, let me just stop you
Sure.
right here. I'd like to ask a few primary questions.
Mm-hmm.
When did P.A.D.S. get started? About when?
P.A.D.S. has been in operation since 1972.
And how did it start?
It started as a crisis hotline, and then as the need began to evolve and individuals saw that there was so much need for emergency shelter, it began to morph into the emergency shelter model that we see today.
So you gave references where they could go, like if people needed a place to sleep at night?
Correct. And then the organization started working with partner churches, and working together, they were able to provide emergency shelter for those individuals who had nowhere to go in the evening.
So it isn't a living, it's just an emergency shelter for the night, right?
Just for the
But do they feed them also?
They do, but just our emergency shelter is where people will go to the churches. But at the family center, which I also referred to, people are living there. That's a transitional program that people are allowed to live there
when
for
did
2
that
years.
get started? When did you get out of this just being a hotline?
Sure. The Family Center began in the 1990s, and that is something that's very different than our emergency shelter
Okay, well, let's
model.
talk about the Family Center.
Sure.
So it's a building.
It is a building, and it is actually in Gurnee, and it's actually an apartment building. And so we're able to house 9 families who are in a position where they don't have shelter, and rather than keep them in the emergency shelter situation where every night they're going someplace different, this provides them with the opportunity to sleep in the same place every night. And then we have staff there that can help them, obtain a job, go on interviews, get their resume prepared for job interviews.
So let's say it's a transition place, but it's a permanent place that they don't have to every night go in and out. So what would an average longevity be of a person staying there?
I would say the average length of time is anywhere between 8 to 14 months. Just depending on the individual.
You want to get them going on their own.
Correct. So everything we do at the Family Center is preparing them to be self-sufficient once they leave. But because it involves children, which of course are some of the most vulnerable citizens we have in our county, we want to provide that extra support for them.
It's a security.
Correct. Yes. And then the children are able to be picked up for their, the school bus stops at the same place every day, so they don't have a lot of social stigmas going into their school setting. And there's not as much transition for the children because they have a solid place to be every day.
Oh, now then that's not where your office is, though.
No.
Now, where is your office?
Our offices are located in North Chicago, and they are currently at the Federal Health Care Center, the VA Center. But we actually our offices will probably be moving in the coming year to somewhere else in Lake County because our lease is up where we currently are. So we're very excited for this new opportunity for our organization to maybe be somewhere else in the community.
But your service is spread through the churches in Lake County. Now, in the churches, this goes on several levels, and I know we wanted to talk about one of your dire needs. It isn't the biggest dire need, but I say it's the second biggest, is volunteers, right?
Yes.
Am I correct in saying that?
Our organization depends on volunteers. Last year alone, we had over 3,000 volunteers that helped the P.A.D.S organization and helped us fulfill our mission. And so every night of the week, 7 nights a week, we have shelter sites in the community at partner churches. And at those church sites, we always need someone to help serve a meal. We need individuals to help prepare the sleeping beds for individuals. We also need someone to work the overnight shift that just provides supervision to the individual sleeping there for the evening.
And probably someone to prepare the church for the incoming people. And somebody for cooking in the kitchen and somebody for serving in the kitchen. I know as we discussed this before the show, every church works on their own independent basis, but you coordinate it.
Correct.
You're the coordinator.
Yes.
And you're like the distribution center of
correct
of placing people. You're the placement center.
Yes. Some churches receive their volunteers internally. They're congregation members that they've known P.A.D.S for so long. This is just what they do. They're standing volunteers. But then when we become aware of needs within the churches where the emergency shelter sites are, we then use the volunteers that call in to P.A.D.S wanting to volunteer, and we link them up with shelter sites that need them.
Well, let's say that somebody is watching right now out there. Now, Sarah, why don't you very slowly and very clearly look into that camera and give your website?
Sure.
Or give them do you have a website?
The website is the best place to go.
Okay.
And that's www.padsLakeCounty.org. And on that website, you can see the volunteer opportunities we have available at any given time.
And is there information how they could contact on
Yes,
that website?
there's our phone number. There's actually a form you can submit right through the website. So you don't have to go to a separate email. You don't have to do any of that. You can just send us a note right from the website, and we receive that in the office.
Well, I know there's a lot of seniors that don't have a computer and are not web savvy, so why don't you give a telephone number that they could call? Do you have a telephone number?
I do, but I only have my direct line memorized, so how about when we take a break, I will get you the general number.
Okay. Well, in continuing with that, I know it has grown a lot since 1972, that it has grown into a large organization. And I think that you can see the growth that
Yes.
because there is such a need in our society today. And we can feel the need among us, the squeeze that's going on. I know you were talking about there's a lot of people that are just between jobs. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you handle that situation?
Well, I mean, the reasons people come to us are many. So sometimes people come to us and they've just lost their job. Mm-hmm. And it becomes a spiral effect. Maybe they've lost their job and then medical bills start coming in. And then suddenly they don't have a place to live. So if people come to us, we try to figure out what their barriers are to housing. So we try to figure out what is the reason the number 1 or 2 or 3 reasons that this person right now is homeless. And we try to help them. So if someone's lost a job, it may be as easy as just helping them with their resume. It may be as easy as just some people at our North Chicago Center, we do have a shower and a place for people to iron their clothes. Sometimes it's people just need a place to come and take a shower and get ready for a job interview. Sometimes it's people need individuals to talk to so they can contact family. Everyone's situation is so unique and so different when they come to us, but really we try to identify those barriers and see what can we do to help this person overcome this barrier at this point in their life. Some individuals' barriers are more complicated than others. We know we deal with some people who are experiencing mental illness, and those barriers are obviously much more difficult than other barriers.
Okay, one thing I'm going to do now is, because we don't take a break on this show, we just go straight through, so I'm going to give my telephone number, and if anybody is not technically savvy and they can't go to the website, you can call me personally on the telephone, and I will direct you who you can call. My telephone number is area code 847-573-1233. Just ask for Vita. I'm there all the time. Okay, now it's time for my pearls of wisdom, and I'm giving my plea. You can also go into our website. I want to, if you have any ideas for a show, because we're on the air now 14 years, and it's because of you out there. I've gotten to know you well, and I know what you like. And if you feel that you have a good idea, or you have some person that has issues, senior issues, then you could give them a call and give me a call and connect us up together. And if you feel that you want to see us on the air, we are a non-for-profit charitable production company, and we need some funding too. So you can go onto the website and you can see all the details of where you can donate to. And I know this is the holiday season, and a lot of people are sometimes alone, and they're feeling like they're all alone, but you're never really alone if you believe in the higher power of God. And you can call upon him because he does love each and every one of us. And so he's looking out for you. And I heard the cutest story this morning was a man got a Christmas present from his 3-year-old daughter, and he opened up the box and there was nothing in the box. And he said, well, there was nothing in the box. She says, oh, yes, Daddy. What I filled it full of kisses. And he felt so bad that he had said that. He thought that was such a wonderful gift. And years later, when she was married and had gone out, he says, I still had that box, and I opened up the box and took out one of those kisses, and it still warmed my heart. So what I'm sending you is a box full of kisses, and you can pick one out anytime you want to, because we have learned how to get along all these years, and I have grown a great affection for you, and I feel like I'm kind of your mother in some ways, that I'm always telling you what to do. So Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and we're going to get back to what Farrah has to tell us about. We're still working on volunteers. Okay. Also, I think that we had talked earlier about not only you need the volunteers in the different churches, there's all those different categories, and I'm just going to give you a recap on the categories. The categories are in the kitchen field are cooking and serving and setting up and staying overnight. And how about in this apartment building? Is there some volunteer services are needed? Maybe we can go through that.
Sure. 2 nights a week in our family center, we accept volunteers to either bring a meal in or prepare a meal at our family center for the families who reside there.
And so that would be bring a meal for 9 families?
Correct. Or, whatever a person could provide. Not everybody can attend all at one time, but our family center director is able to say on Tuesday nights, typically there are 30 people attending attending the meal. So 2 nights a week we do offer a meal to our families, and that's a great volunteer opportunity for people who are interested in doing something like that.
And another area for volunteers now would be your office.
Correct. We're always looking for volunteers who have expertise in any specific area. Some people are technologically savvy, and we like to have those people come in and help us. We've had people come in and do data entry. We have people come in. We're fortunate enough to receive a very large coat donation, and so we've had people who
Coats?
have coats, jackets for the winter. So we've had people coming in and helping us organize those into all the different sizes, so when people need them, we can give them to we can provide them to them quite quickly.
Where do you distribute them? From your office?
We do, for anyone. So we provide some of the jackets to the emergency shelter sites, and then everyone who goes to an emergency shelter site has to come to our office first. So at that time, if they express that they need a coat, we're able to provide one to them.
And if they have a food donation, where do they bring their food donation to?
That should come to our offices at the VA Medical Center, and that needs to be coordinated with our volunteer coordinator before the food donation is brought.
Well, I want to be specific on the food donation. Is what kind of food?
Sure. Currently, we, I don't think, need a lot of non-perishable foods. People have been very generous to us. All of our specific needs are on our website. We have something called a wish list.
But not everybody can see the website.
Sure. They can always call the agency and see what we need, but if anyone brings any type of donation to our
It should be packaged.
facility, a person has to call ahead to ensure that we need it, because we don't have a lot of room to store food. And yes, it should all be in packaging, and it should be non-opened.
Yes, it should be packaged and should be not open. And any other donation of clothing?
Clothing, again, we will only be accepting new clothing because, as you know, there's a lot of things going around, and we're unable to wash everything that comes in. Jackets are so necessary that we did in that instance accept used jackets because people need them so badly. But all of our needs, again, are on that wish list, and we do send out a newsletter. And I'm sure many of your viewers get our newsletter. We have a very large circulation in the Lake County area, and we always put our seasonal wish list on that newsletter.
And now your most dire need is if somebody would send in a donation.
Correct. P.A.D.S has been in the community since 1972. We are a local organization. Last year alone, we served over 1,900 homeless individuals in the county. In Lake County, there are 52 municipalities. We served individuals in 49 of those municipalities.
So that's almost the whole community.
Correct. So, a lot of times when people are thinking of homelessness, they're thinking of people who maybe live in Waukegan or who live in North Chicago. This truly is a county-wide issue. Only about 30% of our individuals come from Waukegan, 30% come from North Chicago, and the rest come from all over the county. So we have people experiencing homelessness that were originally from Deerfield and from Highland Park and from Lake Forest. So this is not just happening in certain communities. This is happening all over the county.
It's happening all over. Now, maybe you could give us some kind of scenario
Sure.
Of some kind that you have witnessed or you've heard about.
Sure. I think what comes to mind to me is we have a woman that's currently residing in our family center, living with her 2-year-old little boy, and she was escaping a domestic violence situation. Her husband was abusive to her, and she needed to get out of that environment for the safety of herself and her child. And she is now at our family center where she can be safe and her son can be safe, and she's working towards finding a job and providing for herself and her son so they can eventually move out and get an apartment on their own. But we've had plenty of success stories that have already gone through our family center, women, their children, or families who have come in and they've overcome whatever barrier it is. In most situations, it's a job. So once they secure a job that will provide them with the income needed to
Oh, you mean it's like for people between jobs, they lose a job?
Correct.
So then they lose their apartment?
Correct. And I mean, sometimes people have debt they need to pay off, sometimes, but more often than not, it's job related. And everybody in our family center works. However, a lot of times it's finding a job that pays enough
to pay rent.
To pay rent in Lake County, correct.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of success stories, and for most people.
And you say you have a lot of children in the family center.
Correct.
A lot of the families have children. They've just fallen on hard times then.
Yes, I mean, and we have situations, everything from lost job to high medical bills. Like I said, someone leaving a domestic violence situation. I mean, we truly see it all, and that's why homelessness it isn't just one group of people that we see. We see people of all different walks of life.
Well, there's probably been a big growth from last year to this year.
There is. We are unfortunately seeing a very large growth. Our shelters open on October 1st, and I think our shelters were filled by the first week in October. So we're almost at capacity every single night. So there is a need.
If you're at capacity, you can't turn somebody away. What do you do about that situation?
Sure, we do have one. We have a site that we can rent. So if a church can take no more people and we have more people to serve, we do have a site that we can rent. That serves as just a temporary site for that evening, and we'll staff it with our staff and make sure people are taken care of for that evening. So it's what we call an overflow shelter.
All right, so you say that you have serviced in the past 49 principalities out of 52. And do you know about around how many churches there are?
We have 14 partner churches right now, and they're located all over Lake County, all the way from Deerfield to, we have one in Vernon Hills, Waukegan, Zion. I mean, they're all over Lake County.
And each one works on a different basis, probably as far as serving the meals. Some probably serve one meal, maybe some serve 2 meals. Each one works independently?
They do. They work with us. So what individuals who are going to utilize the shelter for that evening come to our main center in North Chicago, and then we bus them to the church for that evening, and then in the morning we bus them back to our center in North Chicago. So the church and P.A.D.S always are working together. We can tell them how many people are coming, if there are any specific needs they need to be aware of. We work in communication with them.
Well, if somebody needs use of your services, they can come right to your family center?
They come right to our center in North Chicago, which is at the VA Medical Center. And that's we're in building 5.
In building number 5
at the VA Medical Center.
At the VA Medical Center.
Yes, and there's a bus line that comes right in front of the medical center, so people are able to access us quite easily. And we can always help people who are in need. You know, we get people who email us, who come in. I mean, we're always there to help. We're there from 7 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night.
Now, you have a big job for a young lady as yourself. Now, what kind of a gratification do you get out of this job, and why did you go into this line of work?
Sure, I get immense gratification from this job, only because I think, you know, Lake County is an area that is abundant in resources, and we mostly are an affluent county when you look at other counties in America, and to think that there is this issue occurring in our backyards, I feel, first of all, responsibility to act. I feel that as a human being, we have to take care of one another and help each other when we're in need. And it's very gratifying to see people get back on their feet and become self-sufficient and truly become active members of our county and of our community. And I think it strengthens, the entire county is strengthened when we all work together and we support one another as a community.
Well, that's, you know, we're all volunteers on this show, and as I was talking earlier, we're not young volunteers, we're old volunteers. You know, there's quite a few of us on the show that are in their 80s. I'm 81, and I have a cameraman 89. Another on graphics is 86. Our producer is 83, and the gratification that we get is we still maintain our dignity, and we have pride in what we're doing, and I could see that, you know, coming out of you. And I think it's that your organization, when I set out to do a show, you know, with a organization, a non-for-profit organization, is doing the grassroots work.
Yes.
It's doing it locally, and so you're seeing immediate results with it. And that's, you know, one of the things that we want this show, that we have started this show, we wanted to connect into the community and give back into the community, and that they could see we're average people, and if we could do it, you could do it too.
Sure.
And we need to connect ourselves up. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy 2014. And when you out there come to the end of your rope, you tie a knot and hang on. You want to know why? Because the best is yet to come. And God bless you. We love you. Catch the spirit.